All right, quick rain test on the Meepo V4 Shuffle. They say it's IPX6 waterproof or water resistant, so should be able to go through some puddles and such, and a little bit of rain without causing damage, right? Let's find out. One thing's for sure, you don't want to ride it on speed 4 and brake 4, because I mean it will spin tires and it will lock the brakes up pretty good, pretty easy on brake 4, as you see right here. This is gonna be a pretty good test. I'm pretty sure there's gonna be water inside areas we don't want water. But puddles are the reality of riding around in the rain. You're gonna be hitting a bunch of puddles, so let's see how she fared. Oh, and I don't ever recommend riding barefoot. Terrible idea. We did just under a mile and it still works awesome. I did notice that the charging port opened up. I'm pretty sure I had that closed good, so I think the puddle might have just kind of grabbed it and ripped it open. One thing's for sure, it's not a good idea to ride in the rain either way, because you'll get water washing out the bearings and they'll start making noise, and also the wood on this deck will start delaminating. So not a good idea, but let's see. I've patted and dried the board off as you would do after riding it in the rain. And now I noticed, well, you can't actually take these battery packs off from the bottom like the Meepo Mini 2 I have. You know, these just through bolted and very easy to remove and access those components. On this one, it seems they're bolted from the top, so I started kind of poking holes and feeling around. You got a bolt here, 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 and here, and then there's some kind of channel under here. So I'm going to cut that, do you guys a favor, and we'll see what it looks like under here. Don't know if there's already any videos on this, but I would like to have access to be able to get the water out of there and see if any water ended up in there. Now, see how this Mini's painted on the side? That's good, so water won't go into the plywood, the end grain, but you see this one's not, so it does have a coating, but as soon as that coating starts wearing off, like right here, it's just that wood is going to wick the water up, and once it does, it's going to start delaminating. So if you do plan on getting stuck in the rain ever on one of these for short periods of time, it's not a bad idea to wax your board edges once in a while, you know, so that way if they do get wet, they're, like you can see, since this is nice and fresh, it hasn't soaked in, but as your board gets older, it's going to get chafed up, and then exactly this is going to happen. It's going to wick in there and get soft. All right, I got these 4 taper head Allen screws out, and the battery's still not loose, so I started kind of poking through here, and look at this, I actually ruined the harness. I poked through and it popped right through one of the wires under here. I'll show you this in a minute, but got the whole ribbon cable exposed, and you can see where I damaged it right there. Gotta say, I'm not a big fan of this because, well, A, it's a pain in the butt to get to, and you know, if you drop something sharp on this board or it hits something or whatever, it could easily pierce right through this soft grip tape, and I mean, you saw how easy it was for me to just poke the screwdriver through that and mistakenly break the wire. So it should at least have some kind of protective sheath over it, if they were going to put it onto there like that. I never noticed, but the Mini 2 has that channel running through the deck too, so I guess all the Meepo boards have that. I just thought of a better way to find the bolt holes. If you use a magnet, this should, oh, see, there we go. And then I can grab my screwdriver and poke around. Seems like right about here. There we go. All right, now the battery pack just drops right down like so. And I don't see any water intrusion at all. And let's see inside this battery pack with those Phillips off. And no water that I see at all. They did a pretty good job of sealing this up. You can see that's where the water was on the inside of this, but that doesn't allow it to go inside still. So, and underneath the battery, nothing. Nice and dry. Cables are siliconed into the board, so not super easy to replace, but certainly doable. Let's check the ESC now. Instead of pulling these screws out and ripping your deck tape, you can actually just poke the hole, spin them, and spin them all down evenly, and then your box will drop down. As you can see, there was no reason for me to cut this open at all, except for the fact that I was just curious what it looked like under there. Now I can just solder this back together though, not a huge deal, but clearly you don't have to mess with that to replace your battery or ESC. And that ribbon cable snaps right off of here. We can see there's no water intrusion into this case, and even if there was, these electronics seem pretty sealed tight compared to the older, well, the V3 or the Mini 2. So a little bit of water came in actually, but not a big deal. Oh yeah, I can see some water here too. Yeah, so yeah, I guess it did get some in there, which again, not a huge deal because these electronics seem sealed. However, I think if you do get stuck in the rain and you get the board severely wet, you should probably loosen these screws, pop these packs off, and let them dry out, because otherwise the moisture is going to sit under here and could cause corrosion and problems. Or just don't ride your skateboard in the rain, period. But sometimes that's unavoidable. Even though the ESC has a gasket, it doesn't really matter because it's got the cooling fins here and, you know, it goes right through. So this is not going to be watertight. Here's a quick look inside the M4 remote too. Definitely not waterproof. Oh, and look, some water actually did get inside of there, so I'll let that dry out. As for the hub motors, I just removed the 6 3mm Allens. Oh, that's tight. And yeah, no water intrusion at all in there. Oh, these look beautiful. However, it's a good idea to rub on this surface a little bit of silicone brake grease, which, yeah, actually I can see water on this surface. You guys can't see it because I got a chunky camera. But yeah, a little bit of dielectric grease or silicone brake grease on this surface, and that'll keep any water from really getting in there, because the only other place you can get is through this bearing right here. I got those soldered and siliconed it. And that's all back together with its new utilitarian look of exposed screws and a silicone strip protecting the wires, the ribbon cable. Looks pretty good, ready to skate. Definitely water resistant, not waterproof. And hopefully this video gives you a good idea of what the internals look like when you go to work on yours. And don't break the ribbon cable like me. All right, good stuff. Thanks for checking it out, and hope to see you again.